Singh always began his story with place. He grew up in Umkumban, Ketamana, a crowded, working-class settlement on the edge of Durban, the youngest of 5 brothers and 2 sisters. His father had come to Natal as an indentured worker. His mother worked long hours as a factory machinist. The family shared small rooms and big dreams. Schooling came late. Because there were so few schools in the area, Singh only started primary school around the age of 11 or 12. He finished Standard 6, Grade 8, near 18, by which time he was already working to help support the household. Political awareness came early. As a boy, he watched people humiliated over rent and arrears, and saw decent families live in fear of eviction. Their landlord, an Indian slumlord, became his first immediate enemy, teaching him that exploitation could come from one's own community as much as from the state. Singh reflected later, "Growing up, that's when my bitterness of social injustice started. The passing of the Group Areas Act and the removals from Ketamana made him see how law could be used to destroy entire communities." He later said that these were the years when an awareness began to develop, that what he had experienced with the landlord in Umkumban was part of a much bigger system. As a teenager, he watched the 1956 treason trial unfold and helped raise funds for the accused. In the mid-1950s, he found his first political home in the Natal Indian Youth Congress and the Natal Indian Congress under Dr. Monty Naika. Later, he would remember the potato boycott as the moment when these organizations truly became home. "My first contact with the leadership was through people like Billy Nair, Kesavan Munsamy, N.T. Naika, and of course, Dr. Monty Naika. From then on, the path was set, a life lived in organized resistance, rooted in the streets and lanes of his childhood." As repression tightened after Sharpeville and the banning of the ANC, Singh was among those who concluded that peaceful protest alone would not stop the violence of the state. In 1962, he was recruited into Mkhonto weSizwe, MK, as part of the Durban Central Cell, commanded by Ibrahim Ismail Ibrahim. Their targets were symbols of apartheid power: pylons, railway lines, signal boxes, and government offices used by collaborators, chosen to avoid loss of life. Those were the days when they were known as the Dynamite Indians, young, under-resourced, and audacious, carrying explosives in paper bags, planning operations in small rooms, and returning quietly to their beds before the blasts lit up the night. My first act of sabotage was on the railway line under the Victoria Street Bridge. It was the main track between Durban and Johannesburg, and close proximity to the offices of those who collaborated with the apartheid regime. Then came the betrayal that changed everything. A comrade broke under pressure and gave up the cell. Singh was arrested along with 18 others, and in October 1963, they stood in the dock in the Pietermaritzburg sabotage trial, one of the largest such trials in Natal. In February 1964, he was sentenced to 10 years on Robben Island. He arrived there at the age of 25, one of a generation whose youth the regime tried to bury in stone and salt water. Prison meant thin food, hard labor in the lime quarry, and constant attempts to break their spirits. Yet Robben Island also became, in Singh's words, our university. He read widely, studied politics and history, and, for about 8 years, led the clandestine news network that smuggled newspapers and radio bulletins into the prison. Through hunger strikes, petitions, and quiet defiance, the prisoners turned the island from a dumping ground into a political school. "We smuggled news by writing it on toilet paper, wrapping it in plastic, and dropping it into hot porridge. You could say we dished out the news," Singh laughed. Singh was released from Robben Island in 1974 after serving his full sentence. Within days, he was placed under a 5-year banning and restriction order and kept under constant surveillance. He was not allowed to attend meetings, work freely, or move without permission. Despite this, he helped establish community projects in Chatsworth and Merebank, clinics, legal advice offices, quiet political education classes, and began drawing a new generation of activists into the underground. Among those he influenced at this time was a young Ivan Pillay. The meeting with Sunny was what some of us were waiting for, Ivan Pillay recalls. It wasn't long before Sunny drew us into his orbit. After the 1976 Soweto uprising, the regime moved to detain and crush growing resistance. Ordered by the ANC to continue his work from outside, Sunny slipped out the country via Swaziland to Mozambique, and from there to MK camps in Angola and training in Germany. He returned to Maputo as part of MK's Natal Command, chaired by Jacob Zuma. In Mozambique, Sunny helped guide operations aimed at strengthening internal resistance in Natal and beyond. He survived the 1981 Matola raid, in which many comrades were killed, and later served in MK's military intelligence under Ronnie Kasrils. After the Nkomati Accord in 1984, he became chair of the MK Military Committee in Maputo, responsible for getting arms and trained cadres back into South Africa as ANC military structures were tactically redeployed. He was then moved to the ANC headquarters in Lusaka, working in the Department of International Relations and providing logistical support to Operation Vula, the underground network led by Mac Maraj. From 1988, he served for about 4 years as ANC representative in the Netherlands, heading the ANC mission, strengthening ties with Dutch unions, churches, and solidarity groups, and preparing for the day when the movement would return home openly. He became used to slipping in and out of Swaziland and was fondly known as Bobby by his comrades on the ground. A comrade, Shannon Ebrahim, recalls, Sunny loved children and would go out of his way to look after the children of the comrades based in the frontline states. When Nelson Mandela was released in 1990, Sunny longed to return home. The ANC asked him to remain in the Netherlands a little longer to take advantage of the new political climate and build support for the movement. In 1990, he helped organize Mandela's first official visit to Holland, including meetings with the Dutch government and Queen Beatrix, and a mass rally in Amsterdam attended by about 20,000 people. Sunny returned to South Africa at the end of 1991. Back in KwaZulu-Natal, he re-immersed himself in political and community work. He helped establish an education initiative that offers Saturday extra lessons in townships such as Kwamashu and Inanda. Over 3 years, around 400 learners passed matric through this program. He was part of the Natal Indian Congress team at CODESA, contributing to the negotiations that would shape the new democratic order. Sunny's socialism was lived through solidarity. He said, "We are appreciative to the Cuban people for having kept socialism alive, because if Cuba failed, it would be a failure for all." Sunny possessed a prodigious memory. He would say, "I happen to recall many events as if it happened yesterday." In 1992, he married Urmila in a small ceremony in Durban. On the same day, he gave his young bride a glimpse of the next 33 years. Straight after the vows, he took her to a rally at Curry's Fountain, where she changed out of her sari into jeans and tackies in the backseat of the car. After the 1994 elections, Sunny joined the new police service in Durban, serving in crime intelligence until 2008. For him, transforming the security forces was not an abstraction. It meant turning instruments of fear into services accountable to the people. In later years, he became a quiet mentor to younger activists, always ready with a story, a challenge, and a word of encouragement. In his later years, Sunny poured his energy into keeping the story of struggle alive for new generations. At Moses Mabhida Stadium, he helped build the South Africa in the Making Museum, a historic, photographic, and audio exhibition that turned Shop 7 into a small, living freedom museum. He was a trustee and former chairman of the board, and a constant contact and overseer of the space. He was a familiar sight, welcoming visitors, curating stories, and using the exhibits as a quiet classroom for community and political education. Even after decades in struggle, Sunny worried about the future of the country he had fought for. He spoke frankly about unemployment, inequality, corruption, and the need for moral leadership. But he also insisted on hope, the belief that South Africans could resolve these crises for the good of the country. Sunny said, "We must struggle for a society where non-racialism and democracy also means that the lives of the most disadvantaged and the marginalized are improved. Sunny passed away in Durban in 2025, aged 86. Rest in power, Comrade Sunny.